Have you ever wondered if your kidneys might already be struggling? Without you feeling a single warning sign, most people assume that if something is wrong with their kidneys, they would feel pain. But the truth is far more unsettling. Kidney damage often begins silently, slowly, and completely unnoticed until the day a routine blood test reveals numbers you were never expecting to hear. Elevated creatinine, a declining filtration rate, words like chronic kidney disease suddenly entering a conversation you never imagined having. Right now, millions of Americans are walking around with declining kidney function and have absolutely no idea it's happening. In fact, according to the National Kidney Foundation, more than 37 million adults in the United States are living with some degree of kidney damage. And the most frightening part is that the vast majority of them don't know it yet. These organs rarely send loud warning signals. They simply continue working quietly in the background until the damage becomes too significant to ignore. Your kidneys are extraordinary. Every single day, they filter nearly 200 liters of blood, removing toxins, balancing minerals, regulating blood pressure, and helping keep every system in your body running smoothly. They do this work around the clock 24 hours a day without asking for recognition and without ever taking a break. But when years of inflammation, poor circulation, processed foods, hidden sodium medications, and environmental toxins begin to overwhelm them, these silent guardians slowly start to fall behind. At first, the signs are subtle: a fatigue that doesn't quite make sense, a foggy mind that makes it harder to concentrate, swelling in the ankles by the end of the day, waking up several times during the night to go to the bathroom. These symptoms are easy to blame on aging or stress, but sometimes they are early signals that your kidneys are under more pressure than they were ever designed to handle. My name is Dr. Mark Ellis, and over the years, I've seen how devastating kidney disease can become when it's discovered too late. But I've also seen something incredibly hopeful: many people can support and protect their kidney health long before serious damage occurs, often through simple daily choices that most of us overlook. Today, I'm going to share 6 ordinary spices that researchers have found can help support kidney health, reduce inflammation, improve circulation, and protect the delicate filtering structures inside these vital organs. These aren't rare supplements or expensive treatments. They're ingredients that may already be sitting quietly in your kitchen right now. But there is something even more important that most people never hear about. There is one simple daily habit that determines whether these spices will actually help your kidneys, or whether their benefits will barely reach the organs they're meant to protect. If you stay with me until the end, you'll discover what that habit is and how a few small changes could make a remarkable difference in the way your kidneys function over time. And the first spice we're going to talk about may be one you already use almost every day without realizing the powerful effect it can have on your kidneys. Garlic. The first spice we need to talk about might surprise you because it's something most people already use almost every day without realizing the powerful impact it can have on kidney health. I'm talking about garlic. At first glance, garlic seems like nothing more than a flavor booster for pasta sauces or roasted vegetables, but inside this humble ingredient are compounds that directly influence one of the most important factors for kidney function: healthy blood circulation. Your kidneys depend on a steady, gentle flow of blood to filter waste properly. When circulation becomes restricted by inflammation, plaque buildup, or high blood pressure, those tiny filtration units inside the kidneys begin to suffer silent damage over time. I remember a patient of mine named Daniel, a retired mechanic in his late 60s. He came to see me worried about rising blood pressure and early signs of kidney strain. Nothing dramatic yet, but his lab numbers were slowly creeping in the wrong direction. One of the first changes we discussed was something incredibly simple: adding fresh garlic regularly to his meals and adjusting a few lifestyle habits that supported circulation. Within a few months, his blood pressure became more stable and his kidney markers stopped declining. It wasn't magic. It was physiology working the way it was designed to. Science backs this up in a fascinating way. Garlic contains sulfur compounds like allicin, which research from institutions including the National Institutes of Health has shown can help promote vasodilation, the relaxation and widening of blood vessels. When vessels open up, blood flows more smoothly, oxygen delivery improves, and the kidneys can perform their filtration work with less strain. Some studies even link regular garlic intake with healthier blood pressure levels, one of the most important predictors of long-term kidney function. But here's something most people don't realize. The way you prepare garlic can determine whether you actually receive these benefits or almost none at all. And that small detail leads us directly to the next spice, because garlic alone is only part of the story. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because the next ingredient can influence how your body handles toxins in a completely different way, and most people overlook it. Now, building on what we just talked about with garlic and healthy circulation, there is another spice that works in a completely different way. Instead of focusing on blood flow, this one helps reduce the toxic workload your kidneys have to process every single day. And surprisingly, many people already have it sitting quietly in their kitchen cabinet. I'm talking about cumin. Your kidneys are constantly filtering waste products from the bloodstream, everything from metabolic byproducts to environmental toxins, medication residues, and compounds from processed foods. When these substances accumulate faster than the body can eliminate them, the kidneys are forced to work harder and harder just to keep up. Over time, that constant pressure can strain the tiny filtration units called nephrons. Cumin contains powerful natural compounds such as cuminaldehyde and thymol, which researchers have found to possess strong antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties that may help the body manage this burden more efficiently. I remember a conversation with a viewer who wrote to our channel from Texas. She had started making a simple morning tea using crushed cumin seeds after hearing about digestive benefits. What she noticed first wasn't dramatic, but it was meaningful: less bloating, better digestion, and more stable energy throughout the day. When digestion improves and the liver processes toxins more effectively, it indirectly reduces the load that eventually reaches the kidneys. In other words, the kidneys don't have to fight the same uphill battle. Scientific research supports this idea. Studies published in journals indexed by the National Institutes of Health have shown that cumin's antioxidant compounds can help reduce oxidative stress and support metabolic balance. Some experimental studies even observed improvements in markers related to kidney function and detoxification pathways. While cumin is not a miracle cure, it represents something powerful, a simple dietary habit that quietly supports the body's natural filtration systems. One practical way to use cumin is incredibly simple. Lightly crush half a teaspoon of cumin seeds and steep them in hot water for a few minutes to create a warm infusion, or sprinkle freshly ground cumin over roasted vegetables or soups. Small, consistent habits like this can gradually support the body's detox pathways without extreme diets or expensive supplements. But here's where things get interesting. Even if you improve circulation with garlic and reduce toxin load with cumin, there is another hidden factor that silently damages kidney tissue. Over time, something millions of people unknowingly deal with every day, and the next spice addresses that problem directly. But knowing this alone still isn't enough, because another, even more dangerous factor may already be affecting your kidneys without you realizing it. Now, after circulation and toxin load, there is another silent factor that quietly damages kidney tissue in millions of people every year. It doesn't make headlines, and most people don't notice it happening inside their bodies. I'm talking about chronic inflammation and blood sugar-related stress, and this is exactly where the next spice becomes incredibly important: cinnamon. Cinnamon is often associated with desserts and holiday drinks, but biologically it does something far more interesting. Your kidneys are extremely sensitive to inflammation and unstable blood sugar levels. When glucose remains elevated in the bloodstream for long periods of time, even slightly elevated levels that many people never consider dangerous, it triggers the formation of harmful compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These compounds slowly damage blood vessels and delicate kidney tissue, accelerating the decline of filtration capacity over the years. I once spoke with a viewer named Patricia from Ohio who shared a story that stuck with me. Her doctor had warned her about early signs of insulin resistance, but she didn't want to rely only on medication. Along with improving her diet, she started a simple habit, adding a small amount of cinnamon to her morning oatmeal and afternoon tea. It was a tiny change, almost too simple to feel significant, but over time, as her blood sugar stabilized and inflammation markers improved, her energy levels began to shift as well. She told me something that perfectly captures what we're talking about here. Sometimes the smallest daily rituals quietly protect our organs in ways we don't notice until much later. Science has been exploring this effect for years. Research published in journals indexed by the National Institutes of Health suggests that cinnamon contains powerful polyphenols and compounds like cinnamaldehyde, which may help improve insulin sensitivity and reduce oxidative stress. Several studies have linked regular cinnamon consumption with better blood sugar control and reduced inflammatory markers, two factors strongly connected to kidney health. When blood sugar remains stable and inflammation decreases, the kidneys are placed under far less long-term stress. One of the easiest ways to use cinnamon is by incorporating a small amount into foods you already enjoy, oatmeal smoothies, warm tea, or even savory dishes like roasted vegetables. The key isn't massive doses, it's consistent daily use that allows these protective compounds to work quietly over time. But circulation detoxification and blood sugar balance still don't tell the whole story of kidney protection. There is another threat that continues damaging kidney cells day after day, even in people who believe they are eating relatively healthy diets. And the next spice addresses that hidden problem in a powerful way. But knowing this alone still isn't enough, because another factor can silently accelerate kidney damage, and most people overlook it completely. Now, even if circulation improves with garlic detox, pathways are supported with cumin, and blood sugar becomes more stable with cinnamon, there is still another hidden process quietly damaging kidney cells every single day. This process is called oxidative stress, and it acts almost like biological rust inside the body. Over time, it slowly wears down the delicate tissues that allow your kidneys to filter toxins efficiently. This is where the next spice becomes incredibly valuable: ginger. Ginger may look like a simple root you slice into tea or add to stir-fries, but biologically, it is one of the most powerful natural defenders against oxidative stress. Every day, your body produces unstable molecules known as free radicals. They are created when the body metabolizes processed foods, alcohol, environmental pollutants, and even certain medications. These free radicals attack healthy cells, damaging membranes and DNA, and kidney tissue is particularly vulnerable because the kidneys are constantly exposed to the toxins they are trying to filter. I remember a patient story that illustrates this perfectly. A man named Robert in his early 70s told me he constantly felt tired and bloated, even though his blood tests were only showing mild kidney stress. His diet wasn't terrible, but it was filled with small sources of inflammation, processed snacks, sugary drinks, and very little fresh food. One of the simple habits we introduced was drinking a warm ginger infusion in the morning. Over time, along with other healthy changes, he noticed something surprising: his digestion improved, the constant bloating faded, and his overall energy returned. Sometimes the body simply needs the right support to reduce the invisible stress it's fighting every day. Scientific research supports this observation. Studies published through the National Institutes of Health and other peer-reviewed journals have shown that ginger contains powerful bioactive compounds such as gingerol and shogal, which possess strong antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. These compounds help neutralize free radicals before they can damage kidney cells. In other words, ginger acts like a protective shield, reducing the oxidative stress that slowly erodes kidney function over time. Incorporating ginger into your routine doesn't require anything complicated. Fresh grated ginger and hot water added to soups or mixed into meals can provide a steady supply of these protective compounds. Small, consistent habits like this can quietly support your kidneys day after day without dramatic changes to your lifestyle. But here's the surprising part. Even when circulation improves, detox pathways are supported, blood sugar stabilizes, and oxidative stress is reduced, there is still another hidden threat that can overload your kidneys without obvious warning. And the next spice addresses something very few people ever think about. But knowing this alone still isn't enough, because there is another factor even more dangerous that many people overlook completely. Now, after circulation detox support, blood sugar balance, and protection against oxidative stress, there is still another hidden burden that can slowly overwhelm the kidneys over time. Most people never think about it, yet it is becoming more common every year in our modern environment. I'm talking about the gradual accumulation of toxins and heavy metals in the body. This is where the next spice quietly becomes one of the most underestimated allies for kidney health: coriander seeds. At first glance, coriander seeds may seem like just another aromatic seasoning used in soups, curries, or roasted dishes. But inside these tiny seeds are natural compounds that have long been recognized in traditional medicine for their ability to support the body's detoxification systems. Your kidneys contain nearly 1 million microscopic filtration units called nephrons, and their job is to separate waste from substances your body still needs. Over time, exposure to pollutants, food additives, and heavy metals, such as lead or mercury, can place additional strain on this delicate filtration system. I once received a message from a viewer named Linda, who had started experimenting with coriander seed tea after hearing about its digestive benefits. She didn't expect anything dramatic, but after a few weeks, she noticed her digestion felt lighter and her body felt less bloated in the evenings. What fascinated her most was learning that traditional cultures had used coriander seeds for generations to support both digestion and kidney cleansing long before modern science began studying these effects. Sometimes ancient habits hold wisdom we are only now beginning to understand scientifically. Research published in journals indexed by the National Institutes of Health has identified compounds in coriander seeds such as linalool and borneol, which show antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Some studies suggest these compounds may help the body eliminate certain heavy metals and support detoxification pathways that reduce stress on the kidneys. While coriander seeds are not a cure or medical treatment, they represent another small but powerful tool that supports the body's natural filtration processes. A simple way to incorporate them is to lightly crush half a teaspoon of coriander seeds and steep them in hot water for several minutes, creating a mild herbal infusion. They can also be freshly ground and sprinkled over vegetable soups or salads. Like the other spices we've discussed, the key isn't intensity, it's consistency. But even after supporting circulation detoxification, blood sugar balance, oxidative stress, and toxin removal, there is still one final spice that researchers consider the most powerful of them all. It contains a compound so potent that scientists around the world have spent decades studying its effects on inflammation and organ protection. But knowing this alone still isn't enough, because the final spice may be the most important one your kidneys have been waiting for. And now we arrive at the final spice on our list, the one many researchers consider the most powerful natural protector of kidney tissue. It's bright gold and deeply aromatic and has been used for thousands of years in traditional medicine, long before modern science began studying its remarkable effects. I'm talking about turmeric. What makes turmeric so extraordinary is its active compound called curcumin. This molecule has been the focus of hundreds of scientific studies because of its powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Remember, inflammation is one of the biggest long-term threats to kidney health. When inflammation persists in the body for years, it slowly damages blood vessels, stresses the nephrons, and accelerates the decline of kidney filtration. Curcumin acts like a biological shield, helping calm inflammatory pathways and protecting delicate kidney cells from this ongoing damage. A story comes to mind that perfectly illustrates how simple habits can make a difference. A retired school teacher named Michael once shared that he started adding a small amount of turmeric to his meals after learning about its anti-inflammatory benefits. At first, it was just a pinch stirred into soups and warm drinks. Over time, as he paired it with a healthier diet and daily walks, his lab markers related to inflammation improved. What surprised him most wasn't a dramatic overnight change, but the steady feeling that his body was functioning more smoothly. Sometimes the most powerful health changes happen quietly in the background. Modern research supports what traditional cultures have practiced for centuries. Studies published in journals such as BMC Nephrology and Antioxidants have shown that curcumin may help reduce inflammatory markers and oxidative stress associated with kidney damage. In some clinical trials involving people with chronic kidney conditions, curcumin supplementation was linked with improvements in inflammation levels and protective effects on kidney tissues. Scientists believe this happens because curcumin interferes with inflammatory signaling pathways that would otherwise continue damaging kidney cells. But there is an important detail that many people overlook. Curcumin on its own is not easily absorbed by the body. When turmeric is combined with black pepper, which contains a compound called piperine, absorption can increase dramatically. Pairing turmeric with a small amount of healthy fat, such as olive oil, can enhance this effect even further. In other words, a simple golden spice becomes far more powerful when used the right way. Adding turmeric to soups, roasted vegetables, warm milk, or teas is one of the easiest ways to incorporate it into a daily routine. It doesn't require expensive supplements or complicated protocols, just a small, consistent habit that allows its protective compounds to work quietly over time. But here is the most important realization of all. Even if you start using garlic, cumin, cinnamon, ginger, coriander seeds, and turmeric exactly the way we've discussed there, is still one overlooked daily habit that determines whether these spices will actually reach your kidneys and support their function. And surprisingly, this final factor may matter even more than all 6 spices combined, because without it, your kidneys simply cannot perform the job they were designed to do.